Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn more about how to sketch quadratic curves. Now previously on page 6, you already plotted 3 graphs, on graph paper. Now when do you do plotting and when do you do sketching? The two of them involve drawing of graphs, but the two are different. So if question starts something like this, using a scale of 2 cm to 1 unit, draw the graph of whatever, or plot the graph of whatever, that means they want you to plot the graph on graph paper accurately. However, if you look at chapter 8, page number 11, where we are looking at sketching of graphs, if the question just says sketch y equals to x minus 3 times x minus 5, if the question says sketch, you are not going to use graph paper, you are just going to do a sketch on plain white paper. So basically in the blank over here, the area over here, you're just going to do your sketch. So how does this work? So the main 5 things that you must take note whenever you're sketching a curve are over here. So let's look at this diagram. Now, number 1, we've already learned that all our quadratic graphs are of the form y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. A is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant. So, whenever your a is positive, that means the number in front of x squared is positive, you will have a happy face. So for example, if you have y equals to 2x squared plus something, because of the 2 over here, immediately you know that your graph will be a happy face. Alright, but what happens when a is negative? So for example, if you have a y equals to negative 2x squared, immediately you will know that your shape is sad. It's a sad face. So when a is positive, you're happy, and when a is negative, you're sad. Alright, that's the first thing you know, the shape of the curve. Alright, now what about the second thing? The second thing you must know is you need the x-intercepts. Now how do I find the x-intercepts? Basically, the point where the curve cuts the x-axis, that means over here it is P and Q, right? These two are your x-intercepts. That's the second thing you must know. And the third thing you must know is your y-intercept. So what is a y-intercept? It is the point where your curve cuts the y-axis. So this point over here is the y-intercept. And then you must know the turning point. Now the turning point is where your graph turns. So it is this point over here. If your graph is a happy face, the turning point is also known as the minimum point, because this is the minimum value of the curve. There is no other value below that, right? So this is known as the minimum point. However, if your graph is a sad face, like in this case, if it's already a frowning face, the turning point over here is a maximum point. So basically, this point over here is a maximum point because there are no values of y that are above this, right? So this is the maximum point. So after you find the turning point, the last thing you need is line of symmetry, which is just a dotted line that passes through the turning point. The line of symmetry basically cuts the curve into 2 equal halves. So it's like at this point, it is symmetrical. The curve is symmetrical. So to recap the 5 aspects, right? Whenever you sketch curves, number 1, the shape. Is it happy or sad? Number 2, what are the x-intercepts? Number 3, what is the y-intercept? The point where the curve cuts the y-axis. Number 4, what is the turning point, which is either the minimum point or the maximum point? And number 5, what is the line of symmetry? So take note of these 5 aspects whenever you are sketching curves. Alright, let us start off with a simple curve first. Okay, let me give you something that's not in the notes, just to go through the process of sketching. Okay, so let us say I give you this curve, y equals to x minus 2 times x minus 4. Okay, I give it to you in the factorized form. Now, the moment you get the question and it looks like this, very good. We can immediately start finding whatever we need to find. Okay, so what is the first thing we need to find? We need to find the shape of the curve. Okay, so you look at this. When I expand this, I will actually get x squared minus 2x minus 4x, which is a minus 6x. Then negative 2 times negative 8, I will get plus 8. Okay, so this is the curve that was given to me, just that it's in the factorized form, right? But if I look at the equation of the curve over here, the coefficient of x squared is a 1, which means a is a 1, which is positive. And when a is positive, oh, my life very happy when I'm positive. Okay, so the shape is going to be this way, a smiley face. Okay, that's the first thing I observe. The second thing I observe is I want to find the x-intercepts. Now to find the x-intercepts, you've already learned this. What do? We'll sub in y equals to 0. So sub y equals to 0 into the equation and basically solve for x. So x minus 2 times x minus 4 equals to 0. Okay, why? Because at the x-axis, right, along the x-axis, y is equals to 0. So that is why I sub y equals to 0 into the equation and I solve for x. Using the zero product rule, x is equals to 2 or x is equals to 4. So these are the 2 points at which my curve will cut the x-axis. Alright. Okay, number 3, I'm going to find the y-intercept. Now for the y-intercept, very simple. I'm going to sub in x equals to 0. So for x-intercept, I sub in y equals to 0. For y-intercept, I sub in x equals to 0. Okay, and then what happens? Y equals to 0 minus 2 times 0 minus 4, which is negative 2 times negative 4, right? So I will get positive 8. So y equals to 8 is my y-intercept. Okay, I will cut the y-axis at y equals to 8. Very good. 3 items cleared, left with 2 more. Now actually with these 3 items, I can start sketching the curve already. Okay, so let's draw our axis. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Okay, please use a ruler. As usual, I'm using my stylus and laptop, so it's going to be wobbly. Okay, so this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Now I know my graph is a happy face and I must cut at x equals to 2 and x equals to 4. And I must cut the y-axis at 8. Now since this is a sketch, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to measure out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just need the important points. Okay, so I'm just going to draw the curve first and then fit in the points. It's easier that way. So just draw a happy face. Okay, that cuts the y-axis at 8, cuts the x-axis at 2 and 4. And then we realize, why my 4 look like that? And then we realize that, oh, I still need to fill in the turning point and the line of symmetry. Now the turning point is this point over here, right? This is where it turns. Now, logically, where do you think it turns? The curve cuts the x-axis at 2 and 4. So, where is it turning? It's actually turning in the middle of 2 and 4. Okay? So, to find the turning point, right? X value of turning point is actually the midpoint of 2 and 4. Am I right? So, you just take 2 plus 4 and you divide it by 2. Okay? 2 plus 4 will give you 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so the x value over here is actually 3, correct? Okay, the x value of this coordinate, or the x coordinate, is actually 3. Now what about the y coordinate? Okay, y coordinate of turning point. Okay, I should use the word coordinate. Okay, x coordinate and y coordinate, right? So how do I find the y coordinate? When x equals to 3, I just sub into the equation. So y equals to x minus 2 times x minus 4, right? So it's 3 minus 2 times 3 minus 4. This is 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. So this point over here is actually negative 1. So the turning point is 3, negative 1. And this is the fourth thing that we found out. Very good. Now, the last thing is actually the line of symmetry, which is very simple. If you know that your turning point is 3, negative 1, right? Your line of symmetry will pass through the turning point, and the equation of this line of symmetry is x equals to 3. Remember, a vertical line has the equation x equals to something, and in this case it is x equals to 3 because this point over here is 3. So with that, we're done with the sketch of this entire curve, right? With everything that we need: the shape, the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, the turning point, and the equation of the line of symmetry. And I'm happy. Very good. Let's go back to our notes now. Alright. First question of the notes on page 11. Example 12. Sketch y equals to x minus 3 times x plus 5. Okay, so immediately, do I even need to open up the whole thing? Actually, no need. I can just do rainbow like that, and I realize x times x will give me x squared. So, since it's just x squared, my a is 1, which means my graph is going to be a happy face. So that is the shape of the graph. Okay, so I know the shape is going to be a happy face, okay, over here. Now, let's go on to find the x-intercepts. So, remember x-intercept is when y is 0, so I'm just going to equate this factorized form to 0. Luckily, it's factorized for us, so we just have to make either the first bracket 0 or second bracket 0, solve for x, we will get x equals to 3, or x equals to negative 5. Okay, so these are the two x-intercepts. Alright, now for the y-intercept, we need to sub x equals to 0. So when we sub x equals to 0 into the factorized form, we will get negative 3 times 5, which is negative 15. Okay, so y-intercept settled, x-intercept settled, shape settled. Let's move on to find the turning point. Now for the turning point, what am I going to do? I know that the curve cuts at 3 and negative 5, right? So I'm just going to find the x-coordinate of turning point by adding these two, negative 5 and 3, and dividing it by 2 to find the midpoint. Okay, so negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2, divided by 2 is negative 1. This is the x-coordinate of the turning point. How do I find the y-coordinate? Okay, y-coordinate of turning point, I just sub the value of x into the equation, negative 1 minus 3, negative 1 plus 5. So negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. So what's my turning point? The coordinates are actually negative 1, negative 16. Alright. Okay. So once I have all this, I can already start sketching. Okay, so let's start sketching. We're going to do a very simple one. Now draw your axes such that you can cover everything. This graph has a negative 5 as an x-intercept, right?